And most people wake up every morning and the first thing they do is grab their phone. They drown in emails, bad news, and social media drama before they even take their first deep breath. No wonder they feel overwhelmed, anxious, and stuck. But here's the truth. The way you start your morning determines the quality of your entire day, and the quality of your day determines the quality of your life. Today, I'm going to share with you 12 powerful things you must tell yourself every single morning. If you do this, you'll reprogram your mind, elevate your energy, and create unstoppable momentum. Let's dive in. Imagine starting every morning with these 12 powerful declarations. Imagine the energy, the clarity, the confidence you'll create. This isn't about positive thinking. This is about rewiring your brain for certainty, courage, and unstoppable growth. Don't just listen. Speak these words every morning. Program your mind, fuel your heart, and watch your life transform. Every single morning you wake up, you are presented with a choice. You can either fall into the old patterns that have kept you stuck, that cycle of reacting to everything around you, checking your phone, scrolling in, feeling stressed before you've even gotten out of bed, or you can choose something radically different. You can choose to reset your mindset. You can choose to take back control of your day before the world has a chance to take it from you. Now listen closely, because this is where most people get it wrong. Most people think their mornings don't matter. They believe that once the coffee kicks in, once they get to work, once they're in the zone, that's when their day really starts. But that's not how the human mind works. Your brain, your nervous system, your emotions, they are primed and programmed in the first moments after you wake up. The first 5, 10, 15 minutes of your day, they're not just minutes. They're the foundation. They're the software upload that decides how you're going to run for the next 24 hours. So let me ask you, what are you uploading? Are you uploading fear? Are you uploading worry, comparison, doubt? Are you uploading the negativity of the news cycle or the stress of your email inbox? Or are you uploading power? Because you have the ability to choose, and that choice is what I call a mindset reset. A mindset reset doesn't mean you deny reality. It doesn't mean you ignore your challenges. It means you take charge of your state before your circumstances can hijack it. Because life is not happening to you, it's happening for you. But you can't see that, you can't use that, and you can't take advantage of that truth if you start your day from a place of fear and reactivity. You've got to start from a place of strength. Think about this. The greatest athletes in the world, the most successful entrepreneurs, the leaders that we admire, they don't leave their mornings to chance. They understand that if you win the morning, you win the day. They prime their mind, their body, and their emotions to be in alignment with their vision. And you can do the same. But it starts with the language you use on yourself, the words you speak when no one is watching, the thoughts you entertain before anyone else has even said a word to you. If the first thought you think in the morning is, I'm so tired, I can't do this, I don't want to get up, what kind of day do you think you're setting yourself up for? You're programming your nervous system with defeat before you've even taken your first step. But if instead you choose to tell yourself, I am alive, I am here, today is a gift and I'm going to own it, everything changes. Your energy changes. Your physiology changes. Your focus changes. And I know what you might be thinking, but Tony, I don't feel that way in the morning. I don't wake up feeling energized or grateful. I wake up stressed. I wake up anxious. I wake up overwhelmed. I get it. But here's the secret. You don't wait until you feel good to choose a mindset reset. You choose it first and the feelings follow. Feelings are the result of focus and action. And if you take control of your focus, if you take control of your language, your body will follow, your mind will follow, your emotions will follow. This is why I always say, in motion creates emotion. If you want to change the way you feel, you've got to change what you do. You've got to break the pattern. You can't just roll out of bed the same way you always have, with the same side, the same slouch, the same phone in your hand. You've got to move with intention. Stand tall and breathe deeply. Tell yourself the truth that this day is yours, that you are not a victim of circumstances, that you are the creator of your life. Because the truth is, your life is nothing but a collection of days, and your days are nothing but a collection of mornings. So if you want to change your life, you've got to start by changing your mornings. You've got to start with a mindset reset. Think about the times in your life when you felt unstoppable, when you've been in flow, when everything seemed to click. Was it because the world was suddenly perfect? Was it because every challenge disappeared? No. It was because your state was different. You were focused, you were energized, you were grateful, you were resourceful. And when you're in that state, you don't just handle challenges, you crush them. You don't just get through the day, you own it. So why would you leave that to chance? Why would you gamble with your life by starting your morning in a reactive, disempowered way? The reset is yours to choose. And it doesn't take hours, it takes a decision. Right now, I want you to imagine what it would feel like to wake up tomorrow morning and choose power instead of fear. Imagine standing tall, breathing deeply, and then saying to yourself, I decide how this day goes, I decide my state, I am not my past, I am not my circumstances, I am the creator of my destiny. Imagine stepping into that identity before the world even has a chance to throw its noise at you. Imagine walking into your day with certainty, clarity, and energy while everyone else is still stumbling around half asleep. That's what a mindset reset gives you. It gives you the upper hand. It gives you control. It gives you the ability to respond instead of react, to create instead of complain, to live instead of just survive. And here's the beautiful part, it compounds. The more you choose to reset your mindset each morning, the stronger you get, the more momentum you build. At first, it might feel forced, it might feel uncomfortable, it might feel like you're faking it, but the brain doesn't care whether you feel like it or not. The brain listens to repetition. The brain listens to consistency. If you tell yourself every morning that you're in control, that you're powerful, that you're grateful, that you're resourceful, guess what? Sooner or later, your brain starts to believe it, and when your brain believes it, your actions change. And when your actions change, your results change. This is how you reprogram your life. Not with some massive overnight shift, but with the small, consistent resets you choose every single morning. Because the difference between someone who lives in fear and someone who lives in power isn't talent, it isn't luck, it isn't intelligence. It's the pattern of thought and emotion they choose to run every single day. You've got to ask yourself, what pattern do I want to run? What story do I want to tell myself when I open my eyes in the morning? What identity do I want to step into before the world pulls me in 100 different directions? Because you are going to tell yourself a story either way. You're going to live in some state of mind no matter what. The question is, are you going to choose it, or are you going to let it be chosen for you? That's the power of a mindset reset. It puts you back in the driver's seat. It reminds you that no matter what's happening around you, you decide what happens within you. You decide what story to tell. You decide how to show up. At the core of everything you do, at the center of every choice you make, every risk you take, every action you either step into or hold yourself back from, there's one thing that drives it all. It's not your circumstances. It's not the economy. It's not your upbringing. It's not even your environment. It's your identity. It's what you believe about who you are. Because hear me on this, you will never act consistently in a way that contradicts the story you believe about yourself. If you believe you're someone who always struggles, you'll find a way to struggle even when opportunities are right in front of you. If you believe you're someone who can't commit, you'll sabotage relationships. You'll quit on projects. You'll always find an exit. If you believe you're someone who is unworthy, then even when love, even when success, even when abundance shows up in your life, you'll push it away because it doesn't match your self-concept. Your identity is the thermostat of your life. No matter what happens on the outside, you will always return to what you believe you are on the inside. Think about it. Imagine a thermostat set at 70 degrees. You open the window and cold air rushes in, the temperature drops to 60. What happens? The system kicks in and it brings it back up to 70, or you crank up the heat and it goes up to 80. The system pulls it right back down. That's what identity does. You might have a breakthrough, you might get a raise, you might lose the weight, you might get into a relationship, but if your identity doesn't change, if your beliefs about yourself don't expand, sooner or later you'll sabotage yourself and bring it right back to what feels familiar. Because the strongest force in the human personality is the need to stay consistent with how we define ourselves. So if you want real transformation, if you want lasting change, you don't just change your behavior, you've got to change your identity. You've got to decide who you really are, not based on the past, not based on the opinions of others, but based on the vision of the life you are committed to creating. Now, you might be saying, but Tony, I've tried to change before. I've made resolutions, I've made promises to myself, and I always end up back where I started. And I'll tell you why. Because you were trying to change the behavior without changing the belief. You were trying to change what's on the surface without changing the root. Behavior is the fruit, but identity is the root. If the root doesn't change, the fruit won't last. Let me give you an example. Let's say you want to quit smoking. You can say to yourself, I'm trying to quit, I'm trying to stop. And maybe you do. Maybe for a week or two, you push through with sheer willpower. But what happens when the stress comes? What happens when the craving hits? What happens when you're around old friends? You light up again because deep down your identity hasn't shifted. You still believe you're a smoker trying to quit. But when your identity shifts to, I am not a smoker, that's not who I am anymore, the behavior change becomes natural. It's not forced. It's not a battle of will. It's congruent with who you are. Or take health and fitness. You can force yourself to diet. You can drag yourself to the gym. But if your identity is, I'm lazy, or I'm big boned, or I've just never been fit, then even if you get results temporarily, you'll find a way to go back. But if you change your identity to, I'm an athlete, I'm a healthy person, I respect my body, suddenly the choices you make flow naturally from that belief. You don't have to push. It becomes who you are. And this is true in every area of life. In business, if your identity is, I'm just an average worker, I'm not a leader, I don't have what it takes to run something big, then no matter how much training you get, no matter how much opportunity shows up, you'll find a way to shrink back down to that identity. But if you decide, I am a leader, I am resourceful, I find solutions, I create value wherever I go, then your actions expand to meet that new belief. Now, here's what's important to understand. Most of our identity isn't consciously chosen. It's inherited, it's absorbed, it's the voice of your parents, your teachers, your environment, your culture. You didn't sit down one day and decide, this is who I'm going to be. No, most of it was programmed into you, often before you were even old enough to question it. And the danger is, you live your whole life carrying someone else's definition of you. You live in someone else's story. But you are not someone else's story. You are not the limitations they placed on you. You are not the mistakes of your past. You are who you decide to be. The question is, when are you going to decide? When are you going to stop letting the old identity run the show and step into the one that's aligned with your true potential? Because belief is powerful. Belief creates reality. The beliefs you hold about yourself are like lenses. If you wear dark lenses, everything looks dark even when the sun is shining. If you wear clear lenses, you see the brightness that was there all along. The problem is most people are looking at their life through a lens that says, I'm not enough. I don't deserve it. I can't change. I'm not that kind of person. And as long as that belief is running, their actions will reinforce it, their results will reinforce it, and the cycle continues. But here's the breakthrough: beliefs can be changed, identity can be rewritten. You are not cemented into your past. You are not locked into the role someone else handed you. You have the power to disrupt the pattern, to interrupt the story, to step into a higher standard for who you are. It begins with language. It begins with the words you use to describe yourself. Every time you say, I am, you're casting a vote for your identity. I am tired. I am broke. I am unlucky. I am shy. Do you realize what you're doing? You're reinforcing that thermostat. But the moment you shift the words, the moment you start saying, I am powerful, I am disciplined, I am worthy, I am capable, I am resourceful, I am more than enough, you begin to rewire your brain. You start to shift the thermostat higher and your actions begin to match it. And it's not about lying to yourself. It's not about pretending you're something you're not. It's about declaring the truth of who you can be, the identity you are committed to living into, because who you are is not fixed. Who you are is shaped every day by what you believe, what you decide, and what you practice. This is why you've got to be intentional with your beliefs. If you don't choose them, the world will, and the world will hand you smallness, the world will hand you mediocrity. The world will hand you doubt and fear and limitations. But you were not made for smallness, you were not made for mediocrity, you were made for greatness. And greatness only comes when you demand a higher identity for yourself. So the question becomes, what identity will you choose? Will you choose the old one, the familiar one, the one that feels comfortable but keeps you stuck? Or will you choose the one that scares you, the one that stretches you, the one that forces you to grow into the person you were created to be? Because here's what I know: the moment you shift your identity, your life shifts with it. The moment you decide to believe a new story about yourself, you set in motion a chain reaction that changes everything. Your focus changes, your energy changes, your relationships change, your opportunities change. And it's not because the world suddenly transformed, it's because you did. If there's one thing that separates people who merely exist from those who truly live, it's momentum. Momentum is the invisible force that carries you forward, that makes the impossible feel inevitable, that turns effort into ease. And momentum doesn't just happen, it's created, it's fueled. And the fuel, my friends, is energy. Think about it, energy is life. Energy is the currency of achievement. You can have all the knowledge, all the strategy, all the opportunity in the world, but if you don't have the energy to act on it, it's worthless. It's like sitting in a car with a full tank of gas, the keys in the ignition, but never turning it on. Nothing moves until energy is applied, and nothing sustains until momentum kicks in. Now, here's the truth that most people don't want to face. Most people live their lives in low energy. They drag themselves out of bed. They drag themselves through their day. They drag themselves through their relationships, through their work, through their dreams. They live in a state of exhaustion, reacting to everything, hoping for motivation to strike, waiting for some external force to push them. But waiting doesn't create momentum. Waiting keeps you stuck. What creates momentum is energy, and what sustains energy is emotion. And where does emotion come from? It comes from the meaning you attach to things. It comes from the language you use. It comes from your focus. If you tell yourself every morning, "I'm tired, I can't do this, I don't have what it takes," you're draining your energy before the day even starts. You're setting your nervous system up for weakness. But if instead you declare, "Today I bring energy. Today I move with power. Today I live with passion," you've just given yourself fuel. And the moment you move your body in alignment with that declaration, the momentum begins. Because here's the secret: motion creates emotion, and emotion creates momentum. It's not about waiting to feel good before you act. It's about acting in a way that generates the feeling you want. You don't wait for confidence to show up before you speak up in that meeting. You stand tall, you breathe deeply, you project your voice, and suddenly confidence follows. You don't wait until you're inspired to hit the gym. You put on your shoes, you start moving, and inspiration shows up once your blood is pumping. That's how momentum is built. And once momentum starts, everything changes. You've felt it before? You've had those days where you get one thing done, then another, and before you know it, you're unstoppable. The calls you were afraid to make suddenly feel easy. The tasks you've been putting off for weeks suddenly get done in minutes. You don't have to push anymore. It feels like you're being pulled. That's the power of momentum. But here's the danger: momentum works both ways. Just as positive momentum can carry you higher and higher, negative momentum can drag you down fast. Miss one day, then two, then a week, and suddenly you're in a downward spiral. Skip one opportunity, give in to one fear, and soon you're building momentum in the wrong direction. And it feels just as powerful, only this time it's working against you. So you've got to guard your momentum like your life depends on it. Because in a way, it does. You've got to feed your energy, not just physically with the food you eat, the sleep you get, the way you move, but emotionally and mentally with the meaning you give to your life. Ask yourself, am I fueling myself with empowering thoughts, or am I draining myself with fear and doubt? Am I surrounding myself with people who lift me up, or people who pull me down? Because everything around you is either building momentum or killing it. And let's talk about standards for a moment, because momentum isn't just about what you do once. It's about what you make non-negotiable. If your standard is, "I exercise when I feel like it," you're going to have inconsistent energy, inconsistent results, and no momentum. But if your standard is, "I move my body every day, no matter what," that becomes part of your identity, and momentum becomes automatic. If your standard is, "I bring energy to every room I walk into," guess what? People feel it, opportunities open up, relationships deepen, because energy is contagious. You've seen it before. You walk into a room and there's one person who lights the place up. They radiate aliveness, certainty, and passion. Everyone gravitates toward them. That's not an accident. That's momentum fueled by energy. And you've also seen the opposite. The person who sucks the life out of the room, who complains, who drags their feet, who radiates stress. And if you're honest, you know which one you want to be. But here's what's empowering: it's not luck. It's not genetics. It's a choice. You can decide every single day to generate energy, to build momentum. You can decide that your body will move with power, that your mind will focus on possibility, that your words will ignite passion. And the more you practice this, the more it becomes who you are. And let's be real, there are going to be days when you don't feel like it, days when you wake up tired, stressed, and overwhelmed. That's life. But those are the days that matter most, because anyone can show up when they feel good. The real power is showing up when you don't. The real momentum is built in the moments when you break the old pattern, when you refuse to give in to low energy, when you choose to act with strength even when it feels easier to shrink back. Those decisions, stacked day after day, create unstoppable momentum. So ask yourself, what kind of energy am I bringing into my life right now? Am I fueling my dreams, or am I draining them? Am I building momentum toward the life I want or am I building momentum toward more of the same? Whether you realize it or not, you are always building momentum in some direction. And every choice you make, Every word you speak, every thought you dwell on, every action you take is either moving you closer to your vision or further away from it. That's why energy is not optional. It's essential. It's the foundation. Without it, nothing works. With it, everything becomes possible. And momentum is the multiplier. Energy gets you started, but momentum keeps you going. It carries you through resistance. It pushes you past fear. It sustains you when willpower runs out. And once you have it, you become unstoppable. Every single one of us is running on a program. Every thought you think, every action you take, every emotional reaction you have, it's part of a pattern that's been installed in you over years, sometimes decades. The truth is, your mind is like a computer, and just like any computer, what it runs depends on the software inside, and most people are running old, outdated software, programs they didn't even consciously choose. They're living out beliefs and habits that were written by their parents, their teachers, their culture, their past experiences. And they wonder why they feel stuck, why they keep repeating the same patterns, why their life doesn't change. But here's the breakthrough: you can rewrite the program. You can install new beliefs, new patterns, new habits that serve the life you want to create instead of the life you've been stuck with. And the way you do that is through daily self-programming. Now, let's be clear. This isn't about fake positivity. It's not about slapping on a smile and pretending everything is perfect. Daily self-programming is about conditioning your nervous system with the truth of your potential. It's about feeding your mind the kind of input that creates strength, certainty, clarity, and power. Because if you don't feed your mind, the world will. And what does the world feed you? Fear, doubt, scarcity, comparison. If you let the world program you, you'll live in reaction, always feeling less than, always chasing, never arriving. But if you take control, if you decide to consciously program yourself every day, you take back your power. Think of an athlete. Do they just train once in a while? No, they train daily, conditioning their body, their muscles, their reflexes. Why? Because they know that under pressure, you don't rise to the occasion, you fall to your level of conditioning. The same is true for your mind. Under stress, under challenge, under uncertainty, you don't act on your hopes, you act on your patterns, and those patterns are whatever you've been rehearsing. So if you've been rehearsing weakness, that's what shows up. If you've been rehearsing strength, that's what shows up. This is why daily self-programming matters. Every morning, before the world gets its hands on you, you've got to take control of what goes into your mind. You've got to decide the story you're going to tell yourself that day. You've got to declare who you are, what you stand for, what you're committed to. Because those declarations, repeated day after day, carve grooves into your nervous system. They create new associations, they shift your identity. And let me tell you, repetition is power. People underestimate this. They think, I said it once, it didn't work. I tried affirmations for a week, but nothing changed. Of course, nothing changed. A week won't undo a lifetime of programming, but do it every day, consistently, with emotion, with intensity, and your brain starts to believe it. Your brain doesn't know the difference between what's vividly imagined and what's real. If you repeat something with enough certainty, your brain wires it in as truth. And once your brain accepts it as truth, your behavior aligns with it, your energy aligns with it, your results align with it. Daily self-programming is how you build certainty. It's how you take those 12 powerful things we've been talking about and turn them from words into reality. It's not about saying them casually. It's about embodying them. When you tell yourself, I am enough, don't whisper it, don't mumble it, stand tall, say it with strength, feel it in your body. Because emotion is what makes the programming stick. And I'll tell you this, if you don't run your mind will run you. And most people's minds are running them into stress, into anxiety, into self-doubt. That's the default program, that's the old software. And the only way to override it is with intentional daily conditioning. Just like you wouldn't expect to stay in shape by going to the gym once, you can't expect to reprogram your beliefs by doing it occasionally. It's got to be a daily practice. Ask yourself, what would happen if every single morning you fed your mind with strength instead of weakness? What if the first words out of your mouth were words of power, not words of defeat? What if you started every day by reminding yourself of your vision, of your purpose, of your identity? What kind of momentum would you build? What kind of energy would you carry into your work, into your relationships, into your challenges? Because here's the thing life is going to test you. Life is going to throw curveballs, setbacks, disappointments. That's not a maybe, that's a guarantee. The question is when it happens, what program is going to run? If you've been programming yourself daily with resilience, with courage, with gratitude, then that's what shows up in the moment of truth. You'll still feel the pain, but you'll have the resources to respond with power. But if you haven't been programming yourself, if you've been living on autopilot, then when the pressure comes in, the old patterns take over, and that's when people quit. That's when they give up. That's when they shrink back to the old identity. But not you. Because you're learning to reprogram yourself, you're learning to take control of the software that runs your life. And the more you do it, the more natural it becomes. At first, it feels strange. At first, it feels forced. But remember, everything feels unnatural until it becomes who you are. And daily self-programming is how you bridge that gap from who you've been to who you're becoming. Think of it like planting seeds. You don't plant a seed today and expect a tree tomorrow. You water it, you nurture it, you protect it, and over time it grows roots. And once the roots are deep, nothing can shake it. That's what you're doing with your mind. Every affirmation, every declaration, every empowering statement you feed yourself as a seed. And with daily repetition, those seeds grow into beliefs, and those beliefs grow into your destiny. So the real question is, what are you programming yourself with each day? Are you letting the news, social media, and the opinions of others do the programming for you? Or are you taking charge, deciding consciously what goes into your mind? What becomes your identity? What fuels your actions? Because make no mistake, you are being programmed either way. The only difference is whether you're the one doing it. And this is where discipline comes in, not the discipline of punishment, but the discipline of commitment. The discipline to say every day, before I check my phone, before I step into the world, I'm going to program my mind with the truth of who I am. The discipline to choose empowering language, even when you don't feel like it. The discipline to condition gratitude, strength, and purpose until they become automatic. When you do this, you stop living by chance and start living by choice. You stop reacting and start creating. You stop running the program of fear and start running the program of power. And over time, this daily practice compounds. It builds momentum. It rewires your identity. It changes not just how you feel, but how you show up, how you act, how you influence, how you live. Now think about what we've just gone through together. We talked about the power of a mindset reset, because the way you start your day is the way you live your life. We talked about identity and belief, because you will never rise higher than the story you believe about yourself. We talked about momentum and energy, because without energy, nothing moves, but with momentum, everything becomes possible. And we talked about daily self-programming, because if you don't take control of your mind, the world will feed you fear instead of power. So here's the truth: your life doesn't change in some distant future. It doesn't change when circumstances line up perfectly. It doesn't change when luck shows up at your door. Your life changes the moment you decide to step into a new standard for yourself, the moment you choose to rewire your thoughts, to elevate your energy, to embody a new identity, to prime yourself every single day for the life you want to live. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for the right time. The right time is now. The only thing standing between the life you have and the life you deserve is the decision to own your mornings, to own your beliefs, to own your energy, and to own the programming of your mind. Because when you change those, you don't just change your day, you change your destiny.